Hello there. Nice to see you again.
Same here, same here.
I didn't mean to scare you from wearing your cap there.
Oh, you're. I'm never gonna live that down, Don. Never, never, never.
It looked very nice.
Well, thank you. It felt very comfy.
Yes. Well, we're
Hi, everyone.
hi, hey,
Hello.
Molly, and Eleanor and Michael. Let's see. Well, I've been on Zoom or doing follow-up letters to Zoom meetings since I got up this morning. Fortunately, I got up kind of late, but it's been a busy day. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Hey.
Good. Okay. Oh, why don't we'll have more people join us as we go. I think everybody that's on right now knows each other very well, so we won't start with introductions just yet. Latest on the new superintendent. Actually, Eleanor and John were at the coalition meeting Monday. Was it Monday or that? Talked with
Monday.
the superintendent, and I was missing in action, unfortunately. My brain wasn't working quite that morning for some reason. But could anything new and interesting that you'd like to report from the superintendent?
I don't think there's anything sort of new and different, because at the previous meeting we had with her, same sort of thing. She comes in very much prepared to speak on the issues, expresses her opinion whether or not you support that same position, and talk mainly about school reopening and really listening to the health concerns. And that was voiced by members of the commission as well, our guys, that until it's safe, it'll be closed. And then they're looking at different options of when it's okay to proceed, how are you going to do that? Physically, how are you going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether Monique has had directions what to start to plan on or not. Might be interesting. But also trying to put together a long-term strategic plan. She never said what the long term was, but at least a strategic plan so you could say year over year, what do you think you're going to do? And I think she had something like 16 metrics they were tracking.
Good. Yeah, have you heard anything recently, Monique, from the superintendent, or how's your plan coming together for what you folks might do?
So we haven't heard anything new, just that we're working on creating indulging in the hybrid model. So we're planning for that as of right now. Obviously, when the governor makes his presentation, we'll know which direction we're concretely moving forward in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Don,
Yeah.
did you say you thought the superintendent was coming to our meeting today?
No, I don't think so. I was hoping that some of the folks from the Rochester Coalition for Public Education might join us, although we had two people present at their meeting Monday. One of the things that had occurred to me as I was communicating with another person earlier today is that there's actually some interesting byproduct of this whole COVID-19 scenario we're stuck with that may actually be a positive, and that is the schools are being forced to bridge the digital divide that's out there in the poor parts of the community. And that really gives a lot of organizations such as the 19th Ward Schools Committee, the Southwest Common Council Education Committee, Southwest Common Council for that matter, these organizations that have often tried to get more minority representation in their organizations will actually benefit from the infrastructure that's being built up out there for the schools, and hopefully can, help in the process of building that out. I had sent an email. We had a meeting earlier today with Kilolo Moya White. Is that how you pronounce it, John?
You're the first word, right? And I haven't tested her last name.
She's with Rock the Future, which is an organization that a lot of our school committees have, wanted to get more involved with, and she's new to the Rochester neighborhood and trying to reach out to groups such as ours, and
You're also with the Children's Agenda.
Children's Agenda, yeah,
The
that
Children's Agenda.
Rock the Future is with that group, yeah. So hopefully we'll establish more connections there, and this will help all of the organizations that are working with our neighborhood organizations and with the schools. So today was an effort in bridge building with some of these other groups.
John, can you put up the agenda?
Yeah, let me did I share the right thing? I don't see it here.
Yep.
You see the agenda?
Yeah.
Alrighty, good. So right now, the other thing that is, that I'm hoping the efforts we're making with the various groups also benefits from is the fact that the activity in the country with the Black Lives Matter initiative and the anti-racist efforts that are taking place, that this will put more energy in some of the outreach work that's being done to try to get more involvement of the minority groups in various communities. That certainly has been a challenge for a lot of the groups that we've been involved with, and Eleanor can certainly speak to the fact that getting the neighborhoods to have the representation they need to have on things such as the Southwest Common Council has been a challenge. So we'll see how that plays out. Do you have any thoughts on that, Eleanor? Because
No. No, not right offhand. It's really hard to do when I'm
taking notes.
writing notes.
I think everybody's pretty much up to date on what the COVID-19, state and federal policy impact are looking like. It's on the news every day, and trying to figure out who's going to have money to to funnel into the school systems is the big question, because the states themselves are a bit at the federal government's mercy there, unless they start actually trying to tax the wealthy, which they've been avoiding for, many of the states, whether they always say they can't tax the wealthy because they're going to leave the state if they do that, but all the states are kind of in the same boat right now, that they're going to have a huge hole to fill as they try to come out from under the yoke of what the cost of taking care of the COVID epidemic is doing to keep hospitals afloat. John Strezabasco, great.
John, the one thing maybe to mention about the taxing the wealthy
Mm-hmm.
Was the report we got when we talked to the group from New York
Mm-hmm.
City, that last year there were 114 billionaires in New York City, in New York, and this year there's 118. So despite allegedly bad times in the business, there's more billionaires, which is a lot of money.
What's the difference again?
114 to 118, right?
Jeez.
So it's going up. Well, that's good. Welcome, John.
Hey, Jan.
John Strezabasco is the man who put out the 90 Feet Under book that we've talked about on some of the previous meetings. And he's with the Coalition for Public Education also. So we were just talking about, where's the money going to come from to fund some of the things that the schools need to do, as well as keep the hospitals afloat. And there's probably going to be, a second wave even in New York, given what's going on in the rest of the country, unless we manage to do an awfully good job of keeping people from visiting New York from Florida or whatever. There may be a recurrence of the virus here, and that could cause another load on the hospitals. One of the things that was obvious from some of the meetings we've seen is that when there's a big load on the hospitals so that they're taking care of COVID patients, they're not making money at what they normally do, which is all this elective surgery that people need to have or elect to have. That brings in a lot of the insurance dollars into the hospitals. And so in places where there have been a lot of COVID cases, the hospitals are usually hurting for the money that they need to keep in operation, and it's putting a tax on, hardship on some of the smaller hospitals. And in cases like we have the University of Rochester, there's kind of a double whammy there, in that they get income from the university, from students coming to the university, and they get income from the hospital. And if there's a flare-up of COVID in Rochester and they can't reopen the school, then they're hurting from that income as well as from the income into the hospital. So it's going to be an interesting time ahead to see how that's taken care of. Now we've got the community engagement teams. We haven't had too many meeting lately because it's summer vacation. Are you still involved at school 19 with your CETs right now, or?
Melanie, if you want to speak to that, feel free. If not, I can.
Yeah, you're muted right now, Melanie.
Oh,
Some.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I was going to say, if Melanie wants to speak to it, she definitely can. But we have continued up and through, I believe, June and a little bit of July. But historically, we just don't tend to get together much. I did reach out to our chair, which is Amanda Smith from Greater Rochester Health Foundation, because we did have a continuation plan that was due, and she needed to sign off on that. And that's due July 31st, actually. So other than that, we're pretty, pretty quiet.
Oh, I apologize. I was initially muted and I couldn't get it off. But in terms of my work over the summer, I can speak a little bit to that. We did meet one time after our last. So for those of you who are not at our CET meetings, we've been working on our needs assessment. So a lot of the work that we've been doing has been analyzing our surveys and our information that was shared out in our focus groups that were done with our teachers, our students, our partners, as well as the administration, to really find out what are some of the pressing needs that are identified based on that information, as well as using data, trend data from our school, whether it be demographics or test scores. So I'm in the process right now of putting those things in a compiled list from all of the feedback, and then we're going to come together in August. So by the end of the month, you can be looking out for a email from me if you're on our CET team as a regular participant, to look at what those suggestions were, and we're going to narrow it down to what we want our priorities to be for next year. And then just today, I was working on aligning some of the work. So we work with Greater Rochester Health Foundation and the Whole Child Health group supports them. So we're trying to align some of the work so that our priorities are overlapping in a positive way, and so that we're able to track what we're doing more efficiently. So our work will be picking up in August as collectively as a group. But you are correct, John. There's not a lot of people. I know we're meeting here, and I know my work continues, Monique's work continues. But in terms of the team, we have not met since the first week in July. I know some of us met just to talk about the alignment work a little bit, but we'll be meeting again in August to highlight those priorities. And I'm considering an amendment to the document, or there'll at least be some portion in there, if it's not an amendment, to discuss COVID-19, because we did all of these focus groups and surveys and such, and it was all like prior to or just at the beginning of all this. And really, so much has changed and so much is shifting because of this, because of COVID-19 and just everything going on in the world right now with anti-racism. So, we're just going to have to look at what we have currently as needs, and then reevaluate that and determine whether or not how we want to proceed, because things are a little bit different, and it's just taking a long time to get through the process being out of school.
Yes. Yeah, I think we have a real opportunity that we need to take advantage of right now, of this energy that is in our streets, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the impact of COVID has in a way amplified that a bit, because a lot of people are home and able to follow what's going on, and that has probably involved more people in the movement. And it probably hasn't hurt that the Donald has been irritating a lot of people, and so that heightens the whole political impact of what we need to do to improve the situation. So we need to try to make sure we reach out to the communities as much as possible. And right now, since we've got the School 19 folks here with us, Melody is the community liaison, community school liaison for School 19, and Monique Silas Lee for John's benefit, since this is his first time here with us. Monique is the principal at that school. What percentage of the students that you have at the school have you been able to connect with, given the limitations of the connectivity with the homes?
So by the end, I mean, there's a difference between connecting, I would say, and then student level of engagement, because I think that varied. But so when I say engagement, I mean actual participation in the learning process and like doing work and submitting. That it was more successful in certain grade levels than others due to connectivity. But by the end of the school year, we pretty much had contacted and been in touch with every single family. So in the end, we were able to connect, but I definitely would say that the primary grades, which is where the foundations of learning are so important, it was just really lacking. I mean, our teachers were working really hard, but I would say it's not that they weren't doing their part, and they did have participants in each classroom, but in terms of participation levels at each grade level, it really varied from day to day and for various reasons. Some was connectivity, but some was just because the parents were not available. Or the kids were in daycare while the parents were working. And so, there were a variety of factors that impacted that scenario, or they had one device in the home. So one student was using it over another. So we did do a science discovery week. We normally do like a science day at school. And this year we morphed it into something that we could do virtually. And we got a lot of positive feedback on that. So I was glad to see that move forward. We had like a platform where teachers could pool resources for different types of virtual field trips. And again, it doesn't replace the real thing, but at least got them connected with something. And they had Mr. Hyrigs, which is our science teacher. He did a lot of organization on his end to get people connected with places like the San Diego Zoo, and they did like a live Zoom meeting, and there were families that were participating together, which was really cool. So, and they were able to see the giraffes and watch the giraffes being fed, and it was very interactive. So it was a keeping those things, even though it's virtual, we're thinking about that as we go into next year too, because we want to keep that connection going, and it really has fueled our I would say our connectivity with parents. So parents that maybe were kind of forced, and teachers might have been forced to like really connect with their parents. We're in a different scenario with being in COVID-19 and out of school. So it helped bridge that connection. So that was, I think it'll be interesting once we do return. I think we'll have a better, hopefully a better response. And not as slow rolling.
Well said, Melody. And I'm also just hoping that it allows us to be creative, understanding that we had to go through the COVID-19, to be more creative in how we choose to educate our students and having more pathways for them as well.
Yeah, I think we have to make sure that we're ready for the next pandemic, because I got a feeling this is not the last we see of one or of this one. But in terms of the students, if there are 3 students in one family, how much of the problem we ran into was perhaps only having one notebook or iPad or whatever for them to connect with the school with? Do we have enough devices in each household so that all the students can learn online in parallel? You're muted.
I'm uncertain if we have enough devices. I know devices were distributed to grades 4 and higher, 4 through 12, but K through 3rd grade have not received devices. So that means that parents are responsible for providing those devices. So, I'm uncertain. I mean, sometimes a child may have a device via phone or tablet. Maybe it goes down. Maybe, like Melanie said, someone else is using it within the household. So I don't have that precise or accurate number.
Okay. Yeah.
The meeting with Leslie Myers, she said that there are, let's see, 2,800 MiFi links that have been deployed, 5,700 remain. And there's a dedicated number of parents to help with internet app. Oh, yeah, okay, that's what they need. 12,100 Chromebooks were deployed to 4th through 12th grade, and it looks like there will be someone who funds K through 3, also Chromebooks for K through 3. That's what she reported anyway.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things that, and I think you folks at School 19 probably had some contact with Daisy Algarin from the Neighborhood Service Center. She's director of the Neighborhood Service Centers in Rochester, and back a year ago, I was trying to get some of get the neighborhood service centers to perhaps work cooperatively with the schools, because the neighborhood service centers often try to organize things to have the code enforcement officers or the crime prevention officers that work out in the neighborhood service centers go out into various parts of the neighborhood to connect with people and make them aware of what services the neighborhood service centers have. And it seemed like this was possibly a way to get teachers involved with the neighborhoods around the schools where the schools are. Still thinking long term, it would be nice if we had community schools that deal with the community around the school. So anyway, she was receptive to that, and she met with a few groups. Did she meet with you, Monique? Do you remember?
Sorry.
No problem.
Not that I recall. Maybe, do you recall something different? I don't recall a meeting.
Okay.
I haven't either, but I would love to be connected with her. Her name is Daisy. What's her last name?
Daisy
Algarin.
Algarin. And let me see here.
Should be on the city website, right?
Yeah, she's on the city website. I just put in the chat the part of the email I had sent to
Thank you.
Kilolo Moyo White there with some of the various groups that she might want to touch base with. And this was the bit about the neighborhood service centers. I think there's, and the other thing that, struck me, the neighborhood service centers try to organize all the various neighborhood associations, and they have once a month what they call a president's meeting, where they invite presidents from all the neighborhood associations to take part in a meeting, which these days are on Zoom, which makes it a lot more convenient than having to travel downtown and meet in one of the offices there. But that's a way for organizations such as Rock the Future or whatever group that is trying to work with neighborhoods throughout the community to possibly have a link to all these various neighborhood associations. And even, Melody, where you're dealing with School 19, but you've got kids that are coming from all over, and having strong school committees in all the various neighborhoods in the community benefits you also. Mary Coffee.
Yeah, the site coordinators do meet together, but they don't meet with the individual neighborhood groups, resource centers. So they're across the city. Then they have them in all the different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mary Coffee, who just joined us, is with an East Side group, and they've worked closely in the East High School area, so they've got some familiarity with some of the issues they've had to deal with there, and so it's probably a good thing just at least to be aware of the various groups in the various areas. I know there's neighbors building neighborhoods which have some educate. I don't know if Mary's involved with that one.
I am.
Yeah, okay, so you're involved with that. So that, there are other groups, and we should probably try to make sure that we have a listing of as many of them as possible. Do you have more contact information for active school committees on the east side, Mary?
Active school committees?
Yeah.
No.
No?
We were very involved with East High when it was a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, children were leaving, doing drugs behind the buildings, and it was absolutely sad. We met with everybody in the Pope, the mayor at that time, and what have you, and we were just informed that it just was, and that was it. There were too many doors for them to watch by the school. Then it went into receivership, and I cannot say enough about Sean Nelms. I cannot say, we've had things at East High School from North Whitten Village, and the children, the rapport with their children is just outstanding. So I can only say we saw a transformation, and we saw it done. You could even tell by the children's, their face, their attitude, everything. So.
Gee, I've got you here twice, Mary.
Do you? Oh, all right. I just came in and I tried to come in on video, but I couldn't. So,
okay.
Are you hearing me twice?
Yeah, we're hearing you once.
All right,
in
all
fact,
right.
the other one doesn't look like you've got an audio connection.
Yeah, our sector police meeting before. That's why I'm sorry I'm late.
Oh, no problem.
And also, Connected Communities is down there, which we got involved in. And School 33 became the school for it. And Dorothy Parham, who is head of Emma. There were two neighborhoods, Beechwood on one side of East Main, Emma on the other. They tried to get School 28 for to make it their close neighborhood school, and unfortunately they didn't, which is too bad. But so
Yeah, there are a lot of good insights or viewpoints from some of the people that we've had join us from those groups on the east side that might be interesting folks for you to touch base with, John Strezabasco, as you look at the various areas that are struggling with the schools in their neighborhoods. I think there are a lot of opportunities to get people involved, and I think the current effort to get a lot more connectivity throughout the city between the schools and the families is an opportunity we should try to make use of.
unfortunately, in some areas, people that buy homes don't have children, or when they do and they're school age, they move out, which is very sad, very sad. And there are many people that cannot afford to move out. So
Well, we have to make sure the schools improve enough so that people get out of the habit of moving out when they have kids,
right.
And I think if we can get, who do we have? Not sure. Excuse me 1 minute. Hello? Okay,
You're muted.
I'm unmuted now. I had a doctor.
It was the warranty company, right?
No, it was a
I get a
doctor's appointment.
That's
You got to stop and take your doctor's appointment
Oh,
warnings. Especially when get to be my age, anyways. So, the big hope that we've had, in fact, John Lang and I, when we started fighting for School 16 and started looking at what do we want to have it come back as, the thing that we were saying back in 2012, 2013 is we'd like to see it come back as a community school. We'd been talking with Ralph Spezio, who had School 17 and had turned that into a well-functioning community school when he was a principal in the 90s. And we kind of modeled what we hoped would happen to School 16 and then later to School 10 on the idea of reopening as community schools. And then lo and behold, the rash of problems we had in the schools, which put a lot of them in receivership. One of the options they had for coming out of receivership was to be community schools. So there's a lot of things have kind of come together that hopefully will turn into what we were trying to accomplish back then. But the big issue, once we get past the pandemic lockdown, which is keeping people from attending their local schools, one of the things that has been a problem for neighborhood schools has been the fact that parents tend to put their kids on a bus and send them across town just so they have the safety of the bus. So we'll see what happens this year and next as schools perhaps reopen and close again, or whatever the future brings with the pandemic here. But it's going to be an interesting year. Let me see what else we had on.
I think that's putting it mildly, John.
Yes. Okay. So School 29, which is a it's in the northern end of the 19th Ward, right at the just south of the old St. Mary's Hospital there. They've been an excellent school for many years, and Joe Baldino has been a very frequent participant in these meetings, and also in the 19th Ward Community Association Schools Committee meetings. He's principal at 29, and let me see what I got here. Okay, so anyways, hopefully he's on vacation this week, so we'll have to wait for his return, but he's been working very closely with the neighborhood around the school. There's some of the folks in the neighborhood started a butterfly garden in an empty lot that's kitty corner across from the school, and the school has been very involved with that. They've got a little free library that they're trying to keep going, and the Southwest Rotary, which Eleanor was until a week or two ago the president of, they've gotten involved with School 29, helping with the butterfly garden on that lot as a way of beautifying the community near the school, and trying to get people involved with the school more. So I think that's the sort of thing we'd like to see at all of our schools, to try to get more community school interaction. Certainly if there had not been a strong sense of community around School 16 when it got closed back in 2012, nobody would have gotten up in arms and fought to get the school renovated and reopened, and a lot of the history of the community, around that school would have just disappeared, which I think is a big loss for neighborhoods. CFC Youth Bill, did you have something you wanted to touch base on that, Eleanor?
Yeah, I can do the next two, Rotary Southwest too.
Yeah.
Catholic Family Center Youth Bill is also a part of Rotary Southwest, but they're going to start a class on August 10th, probably with 10 to 12 students. They're setting up the classrooms now, using social distancing and putting up the cleaning stations. So we're operating as though we are going to be able to start a class, an in-person class. And the curriculum, in addition to carpentry, also is focused on social justice. I just attended a Youth Build USA conference, and there's a lot of focus on social justice, which is cool because moving into Rotary Southwest, the new president's focus is on social justice. And So there's the speakers that are coming in are speaking on, Katrina Korfmacher is going to be talking about, breaking down silos of communication at one of our meetings. And we're involved with School 29 in that we do take care of that garden. We meet at John's favorite time, 8 in the morning, every other week, to, weed, water. There's a little free library in there. We've been stocking it with books and checking to make sure it stays stocked. He has seen people stop, sit on the bench, read. Lisa Norwood stained and repainted and stained the bench, put a new door on the little free library. She's very handy. Another project is the masks. We've handed out over 150 already. Dave Culleton, the owner of Laundromat on Arnett, or Laundry on Arnett, has been handing them out to customers and to other businesses and neighborhood passersby. We've decided to keep replenishing them that because that seems to be an ongoing need. So we'll have them in packages that we can give away. We also have masks for little children. So we did want to check with the schools. We got School of 19 here. Would you have a need for masks for little children? Because one of our donors has a pattern for little kid masks. And I'm wondering if you guys could use those.
Absolutely. If we open it up, it's going to be the hybrid model. So we definitely need masks for students. The district is working hard to provide initial masks, but washable ones are probably the best bet for us. We have a washing machine on site. So if we can get
nice.
cloth made.
Yeah, these
that
are
would be
washable.
fantastic. Oh yeah,
These
that
are
would be
washable
fantastic.
masks.
'Cause we can.
Well,
collect them,
you'll-
wash them.
You'll be priority on our list, and you and
Thank
School
you.
29 will, without question, be high on the list for getting
Thank
them
you
as soon
so
as we
much.
get.
Fantastic. And Alan, that would be awesome. Thank you. Sorry.
Great.
Eleanor, while I have your attention and everybody else here, one of the things that, and I don't know if there'll be other initiatives that will try to get this accomplished, but for 19 school, one thing I want to mention is they want to set protocols to help teach parents how to make sure their children are prepared to go to school to try to avoid kids coming to school sick. And they're trying to encourage temperature checks at home. But I can already foresee that might be a need of parents having thermometers in the home to be able to check their kids' temperatures. So that's just something, if you see anything, keep it on your radar, because it might prove to be a need. And I don't know that the district's going to supply a thermometer for every family. I have no idea. But
That is I'm putting that in the notes, and I'll bring, we have a board meeting with the Rotary tomorrow morning, so I will bring that up. That thermometers need to be on the radar. And they've always got these education grants. So,
okay.
Teaching parents how to use them seems like education.
Mhm.
So, and they need it to get their child in school. So, I'll see if there's some way we can. And I think we may have money left because we weren't able to do that movie.
Yeah.
So there may be money that we could use.
Okay. Well, let me know.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is going to be important, especially for young kids, is to try to find a see-through mask that can be, especially for teachers, if you're talking to a child and they have no way of seeing your mouth, you lose an awful lot of the connection you have with the person you're talking to when you have an opaque mask in front of your face. I've seen some online, probably some window I've got open and somewhere on the computer here has those, but I'm going to try to get some of those in just to see how they are, how durable are they.
Okay, John, you have a meeting tomorrow. It's been changed. There's a clear face mask task force Zoom meeting with 3 Rotary clubs. They changed it from 8 in the morning to, I think it's 3:45 in the afternoon. Would you be able to do that tomorrow?
3:45. I'm wondering whether that sounds like it's going to be a conflict with the. Let's see what I got it.
Yeah, it is.
4:30. Looks like they moved it to 4:30. 4:30 or 4:45
Yeah, I think I saw
tomorrow.
that the Rochester Coalition meets from 3:30 to 5.
Well, that's right. That's why I wasn't going to be able to be there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make sure at tomorrow morning's meeting, I think Lisa or Angela may be able to get to that. But I'll make sure that they connect with you. And I will also send you the notice of the meeting just in
Okay.
case you can scoot into it.
Okay.
But what they're specifically looking at is the Rochester Refugee Resettlement is actually making those masks.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rotaries are seeing if we can't pool resources and be able to provide those masks. So if we know there's a need, there might be a reason to try to raise funds to get them into schools, at least for the teachers.
Oh yeah, that would be a huge help, I think, for young kids. You know, the isolation.
They're going to use it for that and for the deaf.
Yeah.
And actually, there's going to be some deaf folks on the call with an interpreter to talk about it.
Okay. All righty, and you said you sent me that, or you'll send me
Yeah.
that link. Okay. Yeah, if there's any way for the Rotary to record that meeting, that would be helpful. We can look into it after the fact then, if.
Okay.
Because I think that would be really helpful for teachers, and also for if kids can talk to each other and see their expressions as they're doing that, I think that brings people together, even if they're keeping social distancing. That when you don't see the face, you lose an awful lot of the sense of contact. Okay, so
The only other thing, I just added it, and that was all I had to report on Rotary Southwest and Youthville.
okay, do we?
We need Cornell Cooperative Extension, Michael Dondorfer.
Yes, Mike. What do you got for us, Mike?
Yeah, so we have a lot of the same opportunities that I had mentioned last, including these kinds of summer, we're calling like virtual fairs, which are opportunities for children who may be like lacking in some summer activities due to COVID and due to some of the limitations in the RCSD. Where parents who are looking for more opportunities for their children to be involved in stuff over the summer. So we have some themed weeks with activities for every single day during that week. This week is actually Outdoor Adventures Week. So there's a different component to each day. Like Thursday is a service learning component. So that involves getting outdoors and doing some sort of service project. I know in a couple weeks is a STEM week, and that will involve building. Some organizations do like art they build like sculptures out of cans. They build like really tall structures. We want to do something like that on a smaller scale that kids can do at home, and then donate the remaining cans. So stuff like that on a daily basis. Each day is a different kind of theme, a different activity to match that theme. So I'm putting my contact information in the chat. If that's interesting to anyone, it's free to do. We'll provide materials and instructions as needed. something else to note is I'm actually going to be leaving my position with 4-H starting the end of next week. So if you use this email, it'll get redirected to my supervisor.
Okay. And do you have somebody lined up who's going to be taking your place on that?
Yeah.
Position?
So she should be starting August 3rd. So another AmeriCorps Vista is going to be taking my place. And I'll pass on the information from this, like your contact information and all that stuff to her so she can stay connected to.
Okay, great.
I also had my email changed to my personal email for the contact list. So I can keep getting updates from you all too, which is
Oh, great. Where are you
Great.
going to be?
yeah. I'm still kind of figuring that out. I know there's a couple different AmeriCorps programs I've been looking at that pair you up with a school and you work as basically like a recess coach and help develop like outdoor education kind of things. So having more activities on playgrounds and stuff like that. So
Nice.
yeah,
Thank
I thought
you for all your work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Mike.
thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you working with us here, and we look forward to seeing you again. And whenever you want to join us, we're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Try
definitely
to
like
pick a
using
school in the Southwest.
definitely. Yeah, I
Like
definitely
School
like using
19.
School 19. Yeah, I used to volunteer there when I was at the U of R. So it's a great school. I really enjoyed being there. And I definitely enjoy using these meetings as like learning experiences for me. I just graduated last year, so being able to sit and listen to everyone here who has like such amazing like gifts and perspectives that they bring. So it's just such a great opportunity for me. So thank you to you all as well.
Well, you're great.
Yeah, it's been great working
Stay
with
in
you.
touch. Stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything else that comes to people's minds as we reach the end of our meeting here? Okay, well, we'll be seeing John Strasabasco at the meeting tomorrow, and I'll hopefully you can. Are you going to be at the mask meeting tomorrow, Eleanor?
I don't know. I was going to be at the Coalition for Public
okay.
Education.
Well, if you can pass the question
I will get it to you, though.
to the Rotary, if they can record the meeting, that's always would be a plus. Who's setting up the meeting? Do you know?
Paul Miner. It's someone from the Northwest Rotary. Or, no, there's also a Robert, let's see, Robert Tawney. He's either with the Rochester Refugee Program or he's with one of the Rotaries, Northwest. There's 3 Rotaries that are looking at working together. Northwest, Southwest, and I'm not sure which the other one is.
Okay. Well, if they do record the meeting, that would help everybody who wants to look into those masks. And very good. Well,
Yeah, John, I wanted to thank you. Thanks for the invitation here to attend, and it's nice to see the people in your group here. It kind of blew my mind before when you started talking about the masks, the see-through masks. My wife and I were just talking about this today, and how what gets lost is the emotional parts of the facial expressions. And when you, I don't know who said it before, that it's the Rochester Refugee Settlement who's making masks.
Yeah.
Boy, doesn't this sound like something that some could be a big deal. It just seems like this should be a way of doing masks.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I appreciate that the Rochester Refugee Resettlement is doing that and thought to do it. But boy, it sounds like something that that should be being tackled in the masking department. That sounds like a big one to me.
Yeah. Yeah, for the schools.
Do you want me
you
to
know-
pass on your name?
Oh, good. For whatever.
Do you need
it'll be
another,
worth.
do you need another meeting?
Are you? Is there a meeting on that?
Yeah, tomorrow at 4:30.
Oh,
That's the one we
That's
have a
me.
conflict with the
Coalition for Public Education.
I think I may. Could you get me invited to it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. John Struzabasco, well, that might be get me uninvited right there. It's but I give him my email address is straz90@gmail.com.
I think I have it, straws90@gmail.com.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would be on your on your lists there.
Yeah, I think for, considering the effort that's being made to get kids back in school, if you get them back in school and you miss the whole communication that you're used to having back before COVID here, it could be a relatively sterile interaction that teachers can have with their students when everybody's got a mask on.
And muffled. I mean, if you have a voice like mine, I just get lost. It's
Yeah, we need to definitely look into what we can do to have the face-to-face communications that teachers can have with students be as good as is possible without giving each other a COVID-19 exposure. Okay, thank you again. It's nice to see all of you. I look forward to the day that we can actually meet in person and hug and say hello and really
Me too.
relish the face-to-face contact. Okay, thank you.
All right, it's a wrap.
pleasure.
John.
There.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care, John.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.